Good morning, and happy Thursday. Sorry I missed everybody yesterday. I was out camping, testing out the trailer. Any air conditioning experts out there? I could use your help. So anyway, I'm back at it today, and this afternoon, or later on before noon, at 11 o'clock is when we're going to have our interview with Red Hog Media. So I think that's going to be fun. But I got to share something with you here. Have a YouTube subscriber whose family says that he watched my channel so much that they gave him a t-shirt. And I met him yesterday. They're from Washington State. He's got rickhelps.com here. He wears it better than me, and that was quite an honor. Thanks, Andre. That was funny. He says you need to start a merch store, and I said, well, I'm trying, but YouTube's got certain restrictions, so they aren't letting me do that yet. But I stayed up in the Prescott area, and this is Lake Watson. I took this with my drone. Looks quite peaceful and everything. Actually, the water's pretty murky, so you can't really play in it. I flew my drone at a distance over this mountain, and I lost the signal. And not in this particular point where I was taking these photos, but my drone on the screen just said signal lost, and it's I can't see it. It's over there, and I have no idea what's going on. And what happens when they lose their signal is they climb, then they reacquire the signal, and then eventually it says returning to home, and that's what happened. But it's supposed to only climb to 85 feet and then turn around and come back, but somehow the settings had to go way in the stratosphere. When I saw it, it looked about that big, and my son and I could hear it, but we couldn't see it. It finally came back home like it was supposed to. So anyway, today's number of homes on the market, 6,480. We had 3,869 homes come on the market, of which 3,661 went under contract, a difference of 208. And it looks like this. And it's an interesting graph because the 7-day moving average is showing everything going down. Listings coming down, homes under contract going down. It's a tiny number, but when you're trying to follow this week after week, and you're seeing this, you have to ask what's going on. And we're going to look at that, look at some predictions and stuff. And the contingencies are growing ever so slightly. They usually run about 75 to 80, and now we're up to 100. Now, 25 homes in the Phoenix market is not a lot, but a trend is a trend. And contingencies are when you purchase a home contingent upon the sale of your other home. And if things are slightly starting to soften, then sellers may be more inclined to accept something like that. Sellers also have to be very confident that you're going to sell your other home before they accept a contingency. So there's that component as well, and that is starting to happen out there. But again, it's a slow moving number. I'm looking at what was going to happen with interest rates, and what we saw was the Federal Reserve came in and had their meeting yesterday, and it was kind of a big nothing burger. They didn't say anything. They didn't give any indication that they were going to start tapering or pulling back on mortgage-backed securities. In fact, Chairman Powell made it sound like he's not seeing the numbers he wants to see, and they're going to keep it up, despite the fact that the market's getting very, very overheated. He's worried that if he tapers too soon, that everything will fall apart. So the bond market, it says, what will the Fed do to mortgage rates? They didn't do anything yesterday. And so the article here says, so why do we care about the Fed? Why have we seen such big moves in mortgage rates after certain Fed announcements in the past? So Fed announcements in the past would make the bond market just go up and down like a yo-yo, and now they're just kind of yawning about it. The bottom line is, it says, market participants are simply looking to refine their understanding of how and when the Fed might act. Today's rates already reflect everything we think we might know about that. If the Fed says something to make it look like the buying will last a bit longer, the buying of mortgage-backed securities, or that the conversation about tapering mortgage-backed securities before Treasuries is over, rates could go even lower. Imagine that. And I'll show you where today's rates are now. On the other hand, if the Fed says the recent surge in COVID cases is on their radar and that there hasn't been any reconsideration of the late 2021 tapering goals, rates could definitely pop higher. That's also interesting. So all we're doing is watching. We have no idea what's going to happen. although it just doesn't look like there's any upward pressure on interest rates at this point. Right now you're seeing today at 2.87, yesterday was 2.86. So the Fed comes out and speaks yesterday and they don't even wiggle this number. Nothing happened. So that's interesting to watch. As we look at the Cromford report and we look at the Case Shiller numbers that show us how we fare versus everybody else in the country, for the year, we're up 25.9%. The national figure was 16.6, the highest appreciation rate ever recorded by Case Shiller for this country as a whole. Phoenix has been in the top spot in the annual table for the past 24 months, breaking a record of 23 set in 1992 by Portland. So we're going up faster than anybody else in the country right now, and you just really don't know how long that's going to continue. So we're sitting here looking at rates in the high twos. We're not seeing any indication that the Fed is going to back off on mortgage-backed securities. So what does this all mean? Well, as we look at the numbers and we look at the inventory, and we look at our Cromford Market Index, you know, that shows it's still declining, and this is the index that measures supply and demand and homes under contract, etc. And it all started back in April, and so March and April. March is when it turned, and it's starting to come down. But remember, 100 is when the market's considered balanced. So we're taking a straight nosedive down. Now, to get up to 511 from 150 really happened in just a matter of months in 2020. So are we going to come down this fast? The demand has dipped, and it kind of took a right-hand turn here. And I'm seeing that on my 7-day moving average, that the demand is slowing, but our supply is slowing as well. And you can see here the supply is trying to come up on the index, but it's just not making it there. The other thing that we're noticing, price decreases, price reductions are increasing every week. And it's not because the home prices are coming down. It's because the lofty expectations are being met, not being met. People are saying, oh, I think I can get this much for a house. Well, maybe I can't. So they're changing their pricing, and they're having to reduce it. We have some information. Zillow Case Shiller house price forecast expected to de-accelerate 16.2% year over year in June. Remember, Case Shiller is always about, they're about 3 months behind, 2 or 3 months behind. So they're looking at these numbers. Let's see. It says I'm unable to connect with the chat. Let me fix this while I have you on the line here a second, because I know if people are wanting to ask me questions, we're going to want to. Well, I don't think I can do that now. I apologize, folks. The chat is disabled. Let's see. Bar Strong is on there. Can't quite see it. Anyway, sorry for the diversion there. Case Shiller, Zillow Case Shiller price forecast is saying 16.6% year over year, and that's what we've been seeing. Monthly and annual growth in June, as reported by Case Shiller, is expected to deaccelerate from May and April 2020 in all three major indices. I said that word wrong. S&P Dow Jones is expected to release data for June. S&P CoreLogic Case Shiller in June. All they're saying with all this verbiage is that they expect prices to start slowing down, that we've hit a peak, but they're not really jumping out and saying how far. Now, last year, Zillow predicted bold predictions for 2021, and Zillow is partners with Case Shiller. So they got this one right this time. Home sales growth will be the biggest since the 1980s. Demand for city living will surge in 2021. This is what they said last year. Buyers will have a harder time affording homes, especially their first one. That's a well-duh, right? Addressing housing vulnerability will be a top priority as rent prices rise, and they are skyrocketing. This week, rent moratorium ends. And I'm going to provide a link in the bottom of this, I have already, that shows the CFPB has put together a website for renters and landlords to get assistance. So a landlord, if you're not getting paid, you can try to get some assistance. And renters, if you're getting the boot and you want to know what to do next, the link is link is down below in the body of this this video. So I haven't gone through that and seen what they're offering and what's going on, but it is there. So what's going to happen next week? Are people going to get kicked out immediately? How many people are behind on rent in Phoenix? I think it was trending about 11% of renters were behind at some point. So hard to tell where that's all going to shake out. The forbearances look like that's going to be no big deal. Not here in Arizona. The forbearance numbers are really tiny, and the majority of people have exited their forbearance plans, and the ones that haven't still have the ability to sell. So I don't see that being anything that's got to come up and raise its ugly head. Come back at 11 and watch us talk about photography and real estate and how you can get your house ready to look its best before the photographer comes over, and other useful tips. Have a great Thursday. Talk to you later.